Hello everyone, thank you very much for joining me today on Monday on live streaming from my studio. Today I have a few surprises for you. First of all, you saw our beautiful subject. It's like, this is a Girona. And you know what cool? I was on the same place last year for the plein air workshop, and that was amazing, really. It's like you are inside the Game of Thrones, something like that. I'm enjoying the view absolutely every minute. And we run that workshop with Angela Barbie, and by the way, she's in chat right now. So we will repeat the same thing this year in November, if I'm right. No, in October, in the end of October. And we still have a few spots, so if you have a chance, you can join us. And because it's really cool, 4 days we move around the Girona for painting plein air. Plus, we're training in the studio because the Angela have a brilliant studio. So we every day starting inside. We studied a few techniques. We learn a lot of things with training, and after that, after the lunch for sure, we're going outside in the heart of the Girona to paint from real life. And I like that format because we hardly study and enjoying the view in the same moment. So if you have a chance, join. And today I want to show you a few tricks how to make the real texture of the old stones, because if you go inside the Girona, you'll see that everywhere, and that's truly amazing. By the way, during all the demo or our conversation, you can ask me any questions. Just type it in the chat. You see I have a technical support, so I can hear your question and answer like this. So feel free. All my experience at your service. And if you want to follow me today and want to produce the same picture, first of all, you can use the poster what we post before like a reference photo if you want to repeat the same, let's say, exercise demo. And I will tell you which colors I use for this, because you can prepare that in advance. As you know, I'm lazy guy. I'm trying to use less colors as possible, but that have to be 100% right choice. So we're gonna use Quinacridone Deep Gold, and I believe you see the bright sunny light here, so that's important color for that. I will use Quinacridone Sienna, Perylene Violet, Indigo, and a little bit Cobalt in the shade. So that's the limited numbers of colors, and we play with that. By the way, I will try to make it fast, all the process, but I have one surprise for you. I believe you know about the project Sketching Academy. If you don't know that, you can type in the web in the browser sketchingacademy.online. You'll go to the website, and all the project, it's about the sketching. And each 2 weeks we run the new courses, the small lessons about the different techniques, different materials. And 6 times in year we run Zoom workshop, and the next one will be, let me check, in June 24. It will be exactly about the very narrow street in Europe, and we study how to explain the texture, how to build the perspective, and a lot of things. And plus, for sure, we study the colors. And surprise is, you saw that book. This is the first volume 1 Sketching Academy book with a lot of explanation about the materials, techniques, tricks, and everything. And you're the first people who see that on the screen. The volume 2. It's not for sale for now. It's in the public house and it's preparing for printing, but it's finished, so you can see that. And here we have a special course. It's more step by step. So if this one about the materials, the tricks, the technical things, this more about practical use and step by step sketching. And one of them exactly about the colors and how to explain the European city in the limited numbers of colors. So this time it's just the two, but you can mix almost everything what you need if you make the right selection, for sure. So it's a very interesting book. I don't want to show you everything inside. It will be published a little bit later, but believe me, this works only if you prepare and study this one, because here I say nothing about the materials, just about the how to use practically that thing. So we have to study it before. So that's my surprise, and I'm really proud what we run the volume 2. That's cool. So again, if you have any questions, you can ask me, and because that's still demo, we will start to do something. So this is my sketch. This is a 13 by 15 inches Saunders Waterford Rough, extra wide, and as usual I wet the back side. I just switch the camera and you will see the process, and honestly it's very important process. So my paper have to be ready. Hello Francois, thank you for joining me today. Dear Barbara, I'm really happy that you have find a time to join me. Thank you. And so we see each other, and on front of us we have a few festivals when we cross it, but I'm still look forward to our meeting in Girona because I'm really enjoy that thing. So you see I wet the back side, but it's not enough to make it one time, so I'm continuing to put the water more and again and again and again. So at least normally it should be like around 15 minutes, but this time, just to save our time and our process, make it shortly, I will make like a 5-7 minutes and we'll start after that. But not one time again. If you want to repeat the same thing and want to follow me, I will continue to put the water. It's very important point. Again, the paper is just the fibers like this, and it's a lot of fibers, and normally it's just the air between the fibers. So my job to remove the air and apply the water inside the paper. That means my paper will be ready to take the watercolor. So that's important for me. And if you want to follow the same style, you have to do the same. Yeah, by the way, you should know then we're going to the Girona. It's really enjoyable time because we have a breakfast together, lunch together, dinner in the end of the day. So we spend all the time together to talk, to make the new friends and conversation in the beautiful place. So that's truly cool. So you saw what I did, and you see for now my paper is still strong. In the 2 minutes you will see it's going to be soft like a paper towel. That means my paper will be ready. And the main trick, I will tell you in advance, and the main trick to do that like a really old city with a beautiful Game of Thrones tones, it's a dry brush. So that technique we're going to use a lot. And honestly, whole the painting I will do just with this one brush, only 5 lines. This is my main tool. So we have 5 colors, 1 brush. That will be nice combination. I switch the camera. So you see I put it face up like this. And another one important step, I still have some air between my paper and the board. So what I'm gonna do, I just press my paper to be sure that there is no air here. And I remove the extra water. Hello, Heather. Lisbon, thank you for joining me today. I love Portugal. By the way, I will be in Portugal this year for the workshop. If I'm right, it have to be in October. I like that country. Yeah, in the beginning of October. So you see, it's flat. It's like a stuck on my my board. So now I'm used tape to fix it. Hello, Canada. So now we start to paint, and I start from the you know, the very important rules from light to shadow, and we have a very bright light. You can see that right here, but the main idea, light is the light, shadow is the shadow. So I will make one big light for everything, and after that we're starting to care about the shadow part. Great question about how we understand is wet enough the backside of the paper or not. You know, it's never will be enough. So it should be at least 10 minutes, but it can be 20 minutes, 1 hour. Just you can make it more wet than it can be. So anyway, there in one moment paper stop to take the water inside. Thank you for the question about the workshop in Montreal. No, no, it's impossible. Unfortunately, I have this year I have 29 workshops in the 17 countries around the world. So no one in Montreal, just no time, and I could, you know, I don't have a time to organize it myself. So no way, unfortunately. This is, yeah, thank you for the question about the paper. This is a Saunders Waterford 300 grams, my favorite, and mostly I paint on that paper almost all the time. Just sometimes I switch to the natural white instead of the highlight white. It depends on the subject. And you see it's possible to make even the tiny lines with that brush, and that's what I like, because it's make all the lines a little bit more spontaneous and nice. Hello, Pittsburgh. Hello, friends. Hello, Chile. Welcome to join me. So you see, I use a little bit texture of the paper to leave the some white part here, but very gentle. Hello, Florida. Germany, welcome to our live streaming. Thank you for coming. Hello, Montreal. We have people around the world. That's cool. Thank you very much for joining me today. And yeah, I know everybody hates it, but it's you know, it's a part of the game. So if you like the video, please give us a like, because that helps to other people to find that video. But yeah, I know I hate it as well, but if you don't mind, you can support it. Hello, Mexico. So you see, I do my best to keep all the shapes a little bit unfinished. Hello, Bulgaria. Wow. That's truly around the world. That's great. See, Nicole, thank you very much for your kind word. I really appreciate it. Thank you. By the way, I can tell you like one small personal story. Then I'm on my workshops in Girona. One of the great time what I have here, it's exactly the morning time. Then I'm going to take my coffee, you know, in the beautiful streets. It's great weather. And morning coffee in the morning in the Girona, it's something very, very specific, and I'm enjoying it every day there, all the time. So now I make just inside my shadows, my future shadows, small reflection highlights. That's right. It's a good question in the chat about my brush. Yeah, it's a dry brush, and you see what I'm doing? You couldn't see that on the screen, unfortunately, because I couldn't keep my paper towel in front of the paper. But after I take my mix, I take off the extra water, just like this. And I'm doing that all the time. And that's important. That's why my brush don't hold a lot of water, just a little bit. Yeah, that's a good question about the blocks. No, I hate it. The blocks, I can tell you, it's not because of the format, it's because of the quality of the paper. It's not the same. The paper what you have in the full imperial size sheet is one quality. The paper what you have in the blocks from the same brand, and it's completely different paper. So I prefer the best of the best. Hello, New York. Thank you for joining me today. Alizarin, Portugal. Thank you very much for joining me. I like that place. I was there 2 times, and it's a very nice memory about that place. So that's truly cool. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much, Mary. I love Chicago. Look, I'm still trying to make some reflection, just a little bit inside. And you see, it's a dry brush, but at the same moment, it's a little bit wet on wet. So inside, I play with the pigments, and it's interesting game. Hello, Switzerland. And for all the people who are now on Instagram, it's a live streaming on YouTube, and you can just switch to my YouTube channel to see all the process from the beginning to the end. I'm waiting for you. Hello, Ariantown. Hello, Switzerland. Thank you for your comments about the brushes. Yes, it's a truly great brushes, and you know that brushes changed my life a lot. So the style, the feeling of watercolor, everything. So that's amazing too. Hello, Singapore. Hello, Australia. I'm waiting for our meeting in October and September. Yeah, it will be a dream to back to Australia. The last time I was there 5 years ago. big break. Hello Potsdam! Yeah! In the Potsdam I will be this summer. So you see, it's like a mess, and it looks like a mess, but it's a textured mess. So that's my first, let's say, washing. But it's, you see, it's a complicated combination between the dry brush and wet on wet, but it's textured. So I make it dry, and we apply the second layer, second step. Thank you very much for your question about what I'm thinking about the varnish and wax or something to protect the watercolor. For my feeling, it's truly bad idea. I know a lot of people use the varnish to protect it, but you know, after you apply the varnish, the watercolor not look like it was before. And that's the first thing. I like the matte texture of the watercolor paper and watercolor paint. So that's look different. Plus, you know, the paper have to breathe, and that's important. So again, any questions, anytime, just ask me. Yeah, Texas, thank you very much for joining me, and yeah, thank you for the question about this. You know, this is the prototype. I'm used this last maybe 6-7 months, but for now you can find this on the website, and this is available. This is the great palette you see for the 12 colors. I fill it with my set here from the Daniel Smith, 10 pigments here, and plus 2 more than I would like to use, and it's like an extra. And you see, it's a big size and brilliant for my brush. It's very easy to pick up the pigment, so I really like that palette. And yes, you can find it on my website. Yep. The link in the chat. So we're starting to make the shadow, and the shadow will play the same rules. So I will use the dry brush and wet on wet in the same moment. Hello India. So we have 100 people. Thank you very much for joining me today. And by the way, about the question about my palette, yeah, you see, if you buy the new one, it's look like that. So this is a real bamboo, and that's what we have inside. So this is how it works. We have a 6 space for mixing colors and 12 for the colors itself. So that's cool stuff. I like it. And you know, I like to touch the real bamboo. By the way, it's magnetic, so you see, it's never opened it itself just because it's magnetic connection. But you know, it's not the plastic stuff. It's a wood bamboo, and it's really nice to touch in that. About the comment about the mixing colors, I can tell you the secret how to make the mixing colors easily. The secret is limitation, limited numbers of colors. If you use a lot, it's very easy to be lost. If you have just a few on your palette, like in my travel palette, for instance, I use it's filled by 8, but I use just 9 colors here. This is my travel palette. So the 9 colors and 3 main, I can mix everything I want, and because it's a limited numbers of colors, first of all, I know my mixes very well. Second one, I have to change my mixes all the time, and that make it look interesting. So that's the secret. Be lazy. About the selling things on our website, we do our best to keep the price as low as possible, because mostly the products I'll do myself, and it takes a lot of time. Plus, I'm not trying to save money on the materials, so we have a truly good prices now, and we don't change the prices last maybe 6 months, and it's very hard to do that. Yeah, hello Agnieszka. Happy to see you. Yeah, that's the new one. So the prototype what I have here, it's a pretty old. I used that 6 months just to be sure what everything fine with the palette. But yeah, for now the new one in my store, and it's available. Hello Poland. And you see I'm used the dry brush, and somewhere you can see my old texture, so everything works together, the new one layer and the old one. So I respect the layer what I did before. That's why it works together. So I not repaint everything from zero. I leave a lot of space what it was done. Great question about the sketches. Honestly, no. Honestly, I prefer to paint directly on the paper, but it's just a demo. If I'm starting to paint directly, you not see what I'm doing and where I am. So I make that sketch for you. Then I paint this. I prefer to paint directly. And for all the people who now on the Facebook, because this is a live broadcasting in the YouTube, and here in the Facebook you can see just a small part. Go to the Facebook to YouTube, and you can see all the demo in the live right moment right here. Thank you. Hello Austria. By the way, I remember the question about the discount for my materials. you already know about the Sketching Academy project. If you subscribe for the Sketching Academy, you have a special discount on watercoloronline.com as well. So that's the way how you can take the low price if you're looking for that. Hello, North Carolina. So you see the trick now. If before it was a one big light and I paint and combine everything together and paint everything together. So for now I paint one big shadow and still combine everything together. For people who missed the beginning of the video, we are in Girona, in the heart of the Girona. Beautiful place, Game of Thrones, and it's really amazing place. I was there on the real plein air and workshop last year, and I'm back to the same place this year again. So you have a chance to join me, and that's. You are, you know, you feel yourself like you are in the middle age, and it's amazing feeling. I like the city. By the way, if you want to know more about the workshop, you can find the information right in the chat here, or you can go to my website watercoloronline.com. The all information available there as well. Thank you for your kind words about the brushes. I'm really happy to know what you like it. Thank you. And yeah, that's truly nice stuff. That's true. I will try to finish that in the less than half an hour. So if you still have questions, I'm here at your service. You can ask me. Okay, thank you for the question about how I wet my paper. Я мочил только оборотную сторону. Лицевая сторона была сухая, поэтому я использую сухую кисть. Okay, thank you for the great question about how I use my brush. You know, that's truly magic brush. I just finished that corner, and I will show you what we can do with that and how I use it. So why I can paint whole the picture, use just one tool. What's the secret? And it's magic stuff, really. That's why this brush you can find in the hands of the a lot of top artists like Didier Bro, Praful Savant, Keiko Tanabe, a lot of top guys using that brushes, because that's really good stuff. By the way, you can see the process right now. You see, I use the corner of the brush, for instance, to make the line. In the same moment, I can blend it with use this. And look, just by my fingers, if I need, I can make my brush truly pointy. Look at this. It's just sharp like a knife, but it's still gold brush, just very strong here. So it can be flat and can be sharp, and I can use the corner as well. Yeah, thank you for the question. In Leiden, I will bring my brushes with me for sure because I hold a workshop in Leiden in the 2 weeks, if I'm right, and it's a full, and a lot of students ask me to bring the brushes. So yeah, it will be there, and you don't have to order it in advance. You just can take it from me on the workshop, no problem. You know, it's very hard for my students to follow me if they don't have the same tool. So that's why then I'm traveling, I take all my main materials with me. Thank you, Marco. I'm agree with you. That's true. Yeah, I see the question about what kind of hair here. You know, this is the natural. It's the goat. But if I tell you what that's the goat, you will think what that's the normal goat, but it's not. It's a very specific goat. And honestly, because it's this brush made by the very old master in China, I have no idea about the secret. Maybe he changed the hair somehow. Maybe it's a different goat. But the regular goat, it's very soft brush. This, it's like a spring. It's very strong and hold the shape perfectly. So yeah, that's the goat, but definitely not regular one. You see, that was the reason why I wet the paper, because you see, that was done like maybe 10 minutes ago. I still can blend everything together, and that's cool. And thank you very much for the 75 likes. I really appreciate it. That helps that video be more visible for the other people who miss it. So thank you for your support. Even here it's still wet, so I can back to that to rebuild my balance. So that means this process, that's all what I'm doing. It's under control. I can change everything anytime and make good relationship between all the spots. So that's great. Thank you for your comments. I appreciate it. No, thank you for the question about the sketch. You know, when I'm painting in my studio, my sketches, or the plein air, the same. My sketches is very simple. It's not the sketch for the shape of the object. It's just measuring my space. It's like a map. But on the demo, I do make the sketches because if I have a sketch, it's more easy for other people to follow me. So that's the reason. But again, in my studio, I paint directly, or my sketch is truly simple, almost nothing. You see, inside the dry brush, everything wet on wet. I really like that combination. So I cover the main shape, so now I can use my brush to take off the pigments, to make the lifting. Look. So by this way I can bring the light inside my shadows and rebuild the shape. Yeah, thank you for the question about the delivery to Italy. Yes, you have two options, honestly. You can order the set on my website exactly what you want, and it will be delivered to Italy, or you can go to the Amazon, French Amazon in France, and make the order on the French Amazon. In that case, you don't have to pay taxes, you know, because it's like a €1 space. So this way or that way, but yes, it is available. So you see, because of the washout, we create a good feeling of the light here, and I'm really like how it's look like. The last touching is there. Good question about the sketching again. You know, I like to make these sketches itself. That's why we run the Sketching Academy. I like sketching, but I don't like it for the watercolor. And I can give you the simple reason, you know. Just think what we normally doing. If you make your sketch perfect, all the shapes, all the lines on your paper, and it's done, what are you gonna do after that? You're just starting to fill each shape with the different colors. So finally, for me, it's like painting by numbers. It's definitely not a live process. If your sketch unfinished, again, if it's just measuring the space, and you start to paint, you can move everything. Like for instance, the street, not this one, because here we just have a beautiful corner. But imagine the street with the buildings, and we have 25 buildings with all the windows. So if you sketch them, all the windows, you have to fill it with the colors because it's so visible on your paper, you couldn't ignore it. But if you didn't make it, then you start to organize your paper with watercolor. You can decide where you need the windows and make it, and where you don't need it and just ignore it. So you are flexible. You're not like a slave of your sketch, and that's important. So that's why I do make the sketches, but very simple. For the watercolor, almost nothing. For sketching itself, I like to make it sometimes precise, because this is the way how I'm studying reality, how I'm studying my object. But the watercolor, it's not the study, it's explanation. So that's the different things. I transform the subjects in the watercolor language, and it's not the discovery, it's explanation more. Still, but a little bit different. That's the great question about the brand of watercolor. You know, that's the mistake what I saw all my life. So I have to tell something about that. You know, that's what I hear. The people who just started to use watercolor, they say, okay, we are just beginners. We don't want to spend the money for the expensive materials. We're going to use something cheap, and then we're growing up. We're starting to use the professional things. It works for a little bit, for oil, except about some specific technique, you can do that. For watercolor, no. Believe me, the quality of the material is extremely important. You don't have a chance to understand what watercolor is that, study watercolor, if you use the cheap stuff. The reason is simple. It's just one medium on the planet, whereas all the materials go inside each other. And if you change the quality of the paper or quality of the paint, it's changed everything. You know, with all my experience on painting every day, I can tell you, if you are like a top-level master with a lot of experience, you have a small chance to do something acceptable if you use the cheap stuff. In the beginning, zero chance. In the beginning, to study watercolor, to understand what its materials is that, you have to take best of the best. Best paint what you can. Best paper what you can. Best brushes. Just in that case, you're starting to feel what happens with the pigments on the paper with the water. And believe me, if you use the cheap stuff, after the 10 years everyday practice, you still feel zero, because it's just a garbage. And you know, simple rules. I like to cook, you know. If you want to cook a good steak, take the best meat. No chance to make the good dishes with the cheap stuff. You know that. Yeah, this is the rough paper. That's right, torchon, rough. That's the same. Yes, I like the texture of the paper. That's why I use this one. Thank you, Angela. I really appreciate your words, special because this is your home city, and if you say you like it, that's the best what I can imagine. Thank you. I appreciate it. And you see, just in the end, I need some tiny correction, but I still want to do that with that brush. You see, if I keep it flat, I still can do something like this. And that look more natural compared if I'm starting to use the liner, special for this texture. So my lines alive and spontaneous. That's exactly what I'm looking for. That's the last touch in what I'm doing. Just a small accents. So we're almost done. And plus a little bit more dry brush on top of this, just to make the first line more visible and make some accents. So we're done with that. You see, we explain the texture of the old walls. We make the stairs and filling of the light, and all the things made by 5 pigments, 1 brush, and it's pretty live. So, and for the people who missed that information from the beginning, just imagine, I was on that place 1 year ago, and it was a pleasure to see that history in front of me. And I'm going to the same place again. It will be in October, in the end of the October, for the 4 days working in the studio on the plein air. If you have a chance, join us, me and Angela Barbie, in Girona this year. And if you want to training yourself or preparing yourself, special for that, we run the Zoom workshop, which will be in June, in the sketchingacademy.online. You can find all the information on that website. So we will talk about how to organize the sketching about the old cities in Europe, how to choose your colors, how to mix your colors, how to build a perspective. It's a complicated perspective, you know, the streets sometimes like that, and it's a pleasure to organize all that things on your paper. And plus we will talk about the materials, colors, everything, and we will do for sure practical things. So that will be 3 hours workshop on the sketchingacademy.online. And for people who miss that information in the beginning, I'm not sure what you know, but we have a book, the Sketching Academy. This is the volume 1. It's more about the materials, so that's available on my website sketchingacademy.online or website Watercolor Online. So that's the, you see, and the links in the chat, by the way. And surprise, it still not exists in the store, but this is the volume 2. We just finished that, and that's the first copy. So here you will find all the exercises step by step. So the first book was more about the materials and technical things and tricks and how to use it. So this is the practical things. So a lot of, first of all, a lot of exercise about the 3D space, how to build your construction in 3D space, and plus a lot of step-by-step exercises with the different materials, with the color pencils, with the watercolor, with the ink, and one of the lessons about the texture of the walls and small streets in Europe. So that will be here. I believe it will be available in 1 month, if I'm right. I hope. So this video will be posted on YouTube, so you can see that after that for free anytime. And if you still have a question about anything, all my experience at your service as usual, you can ask me that question just after the video, and I will find the time to answer you. So again, thank you very much for your time. Thank you, Angela Barbie, to join me today. It's a pleasure. I know how busy you are, so I appreciate your support. And guys, we still have a few spots. I hope to see you in person in Girona. And believe me, by the way, the workshop in person is a huge difference, because we can talk and you can see all the movement. It's not just what I can do with just one camera. It's a huge difference. So if you have a chance, join me. It's a huge fun. Thank you for your time. Stay healthy and see you next Monday. Bye bye.